Let's talk a little bit about the Motorguide XI5. It's 36 volt, 105 pounds of thrust. It's on a 22-foot boat. Does great on anchor. Overall, been a pretty good trolling motor. I've had it for 3 years. The first year I had it, the remote quit working. Would not sync up at all. Took it in, had it fixed. They replaced the card. Got the trolling motor back. Worked fine for about 2 months, 3 months, and then the remote quit working again. Took it back to them. They replaced the card again. That didn't work, so they changed the remote out, and I haven't had any issues with the remote since. A couple issues that came back with warranty is these side pieces cracked on both sides, and then the top piece is cracked again up here. It's still cracked, but it's working. Had a couple issues with when you push the pedal to deploy the trolling motor. It wouldn't deploy. So was on the water, kept pushing the pedal, couldn't get it to deploy. Looked up front, and this little arm right here wouldn't go down whenever you pushed on the pedal. So I manually deployed the trolling motor, fished for the day, came home, and took it apart, which I'll do here in a minute, and show you the modifications I had to make over time. There's some washers in there that they keep sliding off, and the pins come out, and the little bars that run all the mechanisms fall off. Luckily I didn't lose any of them, but it's been an issue since the day I've gotten this thing. They come off. They probably came off 4 or 5 times, and finally I got tired of it, and I drilled the pins out and put Carter keys through them so they won't actually come off ever again. So in here you can see there's that little pin right there that holds on both sides. So whenever you push down on the pedal, that pin falls back and then comes forward. What happened whenever that pin fall off, this wouldn't come back, which pulls this back as well. So when you push the pedal, that folds back. See if we can get in there so you can see it. Folds back to pull those back. So once the trolling motor was deployed, this one pin in here fell back, so the trolling motor was no longer locked on one side when I used it. I didn't find that out until after I got home. Overall though, it's super easy to deploy. Push the pedal, comes up, push it down, goes back. Haven't had any issues with that other than this one not working right here. So as far as props go, as you see, I have 2 props here. I freshwater fish and saltwater fish. This is the prop that came with it. The 3-blade prop works great. Does not work good in weeds. It will just clog itself up. So I got a 2-bladed weedless prop to use when I go freshwater fishing, and I just switch between them. Most of the time I just leave this one on. It works just as good with that one as it did with the 3-blade. We'll go ahead and pop this side piece off, and I'll show you the stuff I had to do on the side. All right, now that I got both the side covers off, both pieces for the side cover, you can see there's that bar. So when you push down, it unlocks right here, so you can pivot it forward. And then that bar pulls that other side piece that I was talking about earlier off. Well, it came factory with these guys right here. So that pin, that little washer just gets crushed on there. What kept happening is the washers would slide off. The first time they fell in this track right here, and I found them, this front one popped off, but the pin stayed in. So the pin stayed in because it can't go back far enough, but this bar fell off. So that's why it wouldn't pull that back. So what I've done is I left this one only because the pin can never come out, and the pins are kind of a pain in the butt to drill. So I've drilled the pins and then put something in there so that the pins can't slide off anymore. So if the bar falls off, then you can't deploy the trolling motor at all. If this one falls off, you can push it down manually with the plastic piece. So there you go. That's the way to fix it if you're having the same issue. So I I would say that the pin, I've had this thing apart probably 6 or 7 times. Fixing them, I drilled one pin, and then after it happened a couple more times, I was like, all right, I'm drilling all of them. So I drilled the 2 front pins on both sides. I haven't had an issue since. It all holds up pretty good. All right, so as you can see here, when I took that cover piece off, it's supposed to look like this. Now it looks like that. This is broke off. This will be probably the second time that that's broke. The first time I got it to stick back together with some glue. But the dealer changed this whole piece because it had cracks in it on both sides. So as you can see, I'm gonna have to either glue this one again or buy a new one. If not, whenever you go to put the screw in, it just falls straight through. There's nothing to keep the head where it needs to be. Another issue I've been having is the function of the auto heading or heading lock. You can see in this video here, as I put the heading lock in, the canal is super straight, but the boat always veers one way or another. It's way worse the faster you go. If you're trolling nice and slow, over time you get further and further and further away from the bank that you're fishing on. I don't know why it does it. I've tried changing it between settings. There's trolling motor north and boat north, or a couple different settings that I don't know exactly what they're named, but I've tried both of them and they both do the same thing. I put the boat in auto heading and it just slowly creeps closer and closer to the bank, either right or left, depending on how you do it or what time it wants to do it, but it always gets further and further away. Seemed to be a great feature. It just doesn't work very well. I've used the recorded track function a few times and have recorded some tracks. It follows the track true, but the auto heading function does not work very well at all. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope this helps you with your motor guide, or if you're experiencing the same problems I was.